Hey everybody, I am back again with this 1982 Honda Prelude. So you saw this a couple months ago on my channel when I introduced it as a car that belonged to my mechanic. Long story short, I ended up picking up the car from him because, in his words, I can find a better place for this car than he can. I knew for a well-known fact that this is not a long-term keeper for my collection. It's a little out of my comfort zone in terms of age and modified condition and really just kind of overall look and feel. It's a super cool car for being 40 years old, but I'm going to define it very clearly as a project. This car really, it runs and drives okay, but the main complaint that I have that I want to be sure and be very upfront about is that it burns a significant amount of oil. Just in having driven it for the last couple of weeks, some blue smoke out the tailpipes. And that being said, my recommendation for this car is that it deserves a full rebuild. I wouldn't recommend trying to drive it too far, just given those mechanical concerns. But for somebody who's seeking a project, this will maybe be up your alley. So it is a low mileage original. The car has just over 98,000 miles. And from the history that I've been able to piece together, it spent the better part of the last decade basically just sitting around my mechanic's shop. The paperwork I've been able to put together shows that the car originally came from Washington State, was brought to Arizona in 1996. After arriving in Arizona, it spent some time under the original owner and then was later actually given to my mechanic, who put it through this sort of resto mod treatment, including the 15-inch wheels, tinted windows, tinted marker lamps, bucket seats that are aftermarket, the steering wheel, everything else you kind of see that's kind of non-OEM. And clearly this car's had some customization because it used to be Windsor blue and now it is a pretty vivid metallic copper color. Now again, I've only had the car for in my name really for several weeks now, but I did put a brand new set of tires on it because the previous ones were dry rotted from having sat for so long. And I've cruised it around a little bit. I didn't put the car through Arizona emissions because I honestly don't know if it would pass. It's got a little bit too much smoke out the tailpipe for that. And so it's on a historic collector insurance policy here in Arizona, which means you are exempt from smog testing. So keep that in mind wherever you plan on taking this car for its next chapter in life. There's some other aftermarket stuff here, including the Pioneer CD stereo. From what I understand, the door panels are out of a different Prelude and were later painted to match. On these cars, at least according to the brochure that I have, there were two available interiors. You could get red or you could get ivory seats. This car was originally Windsor blue on ivory. While we're at it, I will go ahead and fire this thing up just to introduce the driving dynamics and kind of how it runs and drives. So the key is kind of funky. There are two keys and some sort of keyless fob that I don't know if it works or not. This one looks like a broken off key. I don't know why, but you put it in here and it releases the steering wheel lock, and then it doesn't actually start the car. You have to flip this switch here. It activates the ignition, and then over here, tucked away to the left of the steering wheel, you have a push button. So, fired up, there's gonna be some rattles that you hear. Temp gauge is a little bit erratic. It's been reading sort of midway through for a while. I don't know if it's working or not, so best bet is to go off the trip meter when you refill this thing. Believe it or not, the air conditioning works. It was a pretty rare factory option back in the day, so I'll turn that on. It's got 3 settings. Yeah, I mean, it's 107 degrees here in Phoenix right now, but it's doing the best that it can. There's a little crack on the dash right there. The power accessories work, which I guess really just amounts to the sunroof, which is huge, by the way. I don't know if that was by design or what, but that is a huge sunroof. Let's see if I can get this buzzing to stop. Actually, I'll just shut the car off for a quick sec. We'll go for a drive in a minute. The back seat in here has been removed. In its place is really just a piece of carpet, basically. There's a little storage pocket over there. And don't ask me why the back seat's missing, but there you go. Here you can see the VIN tag. Built in June of 1982. There's a little trunk release here. And a pretty good sized storage area back here. Including I think this is a full-size wheel. This car originally came with 13-inch steel wheels. This one is, yeah, 175/70/13 with the jack and everything. So that's all complete. And then under the hood is a 1700cc, Honda's famous Cvcc motor. Now notice the hood, some really funky Bondo work going on here. I do have a replacement hood that's straight, obviously not color matched, but you can have it. And here on the underside, you can definitely tell, see, there was some crinkle damage here. So there you go. This is aftermarket carburetor, a Weber carb, and a fairly new OEM oil filter. So the story I have on the motor is it is a true 98,000 mile original. Does burn oil, and I don't know anything on parts availability for this car. The mechanic told me that when he got it, he did replace the timing belt and water pump. So, but that's been, again, over a decade ago, even though it's been only 1,000 miles or so. So for whatever it's worth, I think it has an older timing belt. Another reason why I don't really recommend trying to drive it too far if you're out of state. So before we get in and go for a spin, just one last comment on the body. It's not in great shape. There's damage here on the right rear rocker. Plenty of orange peel in the finish. So, I mean, I'm kind of up in the air whether this car is a little bit too far gone to put back to factory spec, or if somebody who was ambitious enough could do it. My thought would be rebuild the motor, see if you can get it to consume a little bit less oil, and then just kind of drive it and show it. This thing gets so much crazy attention. People break their necks to look at it. I don't know if it's the color or just because it's 40 years old. But I think I get more looks in this thing than pretty much anything else in the collection right now. If you have any specific questions or requests, I'll be paying close attention to the comment section, so let me know what you want. But I welcome you to come check it out if you're local. Take it for a cruise if you want. I'll show you as best I can here, a little bit of a driving experience. Aftermarket shift knob, check that baby out, Type R. Guarantee you this is not a Type R, but kudos for trying. A little bit of vibration there. The clutch is grabby and it kind of shakes the interior when you take off in forward or reverse. Let's hang it right here. So it'll do freeway speeds. You're revving it pretty good on the highway, but it'll do it. Don't ask me about MPGs, but the brochure says this thing will get 40 on the highway. Let's just flip back around here. Welcome to a 40-year-old Honda in all its glory. I'll pull in here real quick. I want to show you, if I can, a little bit about the smoke issue. At idle, it's not too bad, but maybe what I need to do is let it sit for a minute and then rev it. I can set my camera down, because it'll smoke pretty good. In fact, let's just do this. There you go. Especially bad if you're sitting at a light for a while and then take off. Give somebody a smoke screen behind you. And we'll close out with that. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out the auction. I do have a couple other cars on the docket here sometime between now and probably the end of the year from the collection. So it's come time to part ways with a couple different vehicles, and you'll see shortly where the next evolution is going with the overall fleet. Check you guys later. I'll show you real quick the stuff that comes with the car. I don't have much paperwork, but a couple pieces of documentation here in the binder, including a receipt for those tires. I put hand-cooked tires on it just a few weeks ago. This is a dealer brochure for the 82 Sport Coupe. It's got some cool information on specs, accessories, and other feature content for its time. I am, by the way, still waiting on an owner's manual. I picked up a 1981 manual off eBay that should be here sometime while the auction's running. There's the keys I have, so don't ask me why, but I think I showed it in the other video. This one looks like it's chopped off, but really the only thing you're doing with the key is putting it in the ignition so that the steering wheel lock disengages. This is a factory service manual, all complete. The tinted tails that I pulled off the car because I didn't think it was A, nice looking, and B, very safe to drive with those. I have 3 marker lamps that are non-tinted. I'm missing one of the amber ones. These just came off a parts car. And same with the wheel covers. So like I mentioned, the car came factory with 13-inch steel wheels and trim rings. So these would be the center caps for those. It'll come with a fitted sunshade as well as a car cover. And I think that about covers it. If I think of anything else, I'll add on to this later. In that binder as well are a couple of road tests I was able to get my hands on. There's kind of limited information out there on the Gen 1 Prelude. It's kind of the most obscure and forgotten generation, I think, of the 5 gens of Prelude. Good reading material for you though, if you're into that. Here's the car cover it comes with, by the way.